So as I'm sure everyone watching this channel already knows, Sonic the Hedgehog is something of a video game icon. If you owned a Sega Genesis, chances are you owned a Sonic the Hedgehog title, since he is Sega's big in-your-face mascot, and his platforming games were incredibly efficient. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is my favorite game, after all. Sonic got a whole bunch of cartoons, he got referenced in other movies and other stuff. I mean, Sonic is just everywhere, he's in your face, and if you don't know who Sonic is, well, that's kind of weird. On the other side of the gaming spectrum is Nintendo, and Nintendo had their own platforming mascot that everyone knows, that also had his own series of television shows, that was also a gaming icon. That icon being Super Mario.
So Clement, what franchise do you prefer, Mario or Sonic? Well, if you saw my very first playthrough, you must know that Sonic has always been my favorite, although there is no slouching with Mario either. I own too many plushies!
Hell, I have a playthrough of New Super Mario Bros. Wii on this channel, and during my Sonic playthroughs even, I'm sure you've seen me wearing a few Mario shirts, because hey, I'm a fan. But still, in the 90s, you either had a Sega Genesis, or you had a Super Nintendo. You either had a Sega Dreamcast, or you had a Nintendo 64. And so, arguments between kids would come up, and one of those arguments being, which one was better, Sonic or Mario? The everlasting debate, the always pondering question. Sonic and Mario sort of became rivals just because of their status of being the mascots of Sega and Nintendo, and being platformers and being sort of similar, so that people, you know, they always wanted to see Mario and Sonic duke it out or something. They always wanted to see them in the same game, but of course, Sega was its own thing, Nintendo was its own thing. That is until Sonic Adventure 2 Battle came on the GameCube and Sonic Advance on the GBA, because then all of a sudden, oh my god, Sonic is on a Nintendo product. Holy shit, maybe he'll cross over into a Mario game someday, because Sega is no longer a console developer. Oh my god! We waited for a while, and then we got some really weird games like Shadow the Hedgehog that made it seem more and more unlikely. But one day I was surfing the internet, and a particular trailer caught my eye, and it was interesting.
Sonic's the name, speed's my game.
Now, for the record, I'm not talking about Super Smash Bros. Brawl today. I'm just showing you the early trailer that I saw in 2007 for a 2008 game that showed Sonic and Mario in the same game. I cannot tell you how crazy it was to wake up one day and to realize that Sonic and Mario were in a game together. It was crazy!
Yeah, well, I used to call him Chronic. Oh, look, it's Chronic the Hedgehog. It looked like a fur ball my doggy brought in. Hawk, hawk. But now, of course, we best of friends. We competitive, but we love each other. Woohoo!
But, again, I'm not talking about Super Smash Bros. Brawl. That didn't come out until 2008. The game I'm talking about came out in 2007. And I heard about it much later after the trailer that I saw for Brawl. So I was wondering, what could Sonic and Mario do? Could they be in an awesome, epic platformer where they have to take on the Koopa Kingdom and the Eggman Empire together? Is there going to be high-speed actions for Sonic and regular 2D platforming parts for Mario? How could it work? How would it work as a storyline? How could any of this work? But still, what could Mario and Sonic do together?
That's the Olympic flag. That's the Olympic flag that represents the Olympic Games. Why is it in the opening of this Mario and Sonic trailer?
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games!
It's an Olympic game. It's a minigame collection where Mario and Sonic are at the Olympic Games. That's random.
So I'm sure there has been equal disappointment in both fan bases that this game was not a proper platformer, but still, I do enjoy the fact that Sonic and Mario are together, and as far as minigames go, these aren't super terrible or anything, and the Wii motion control does work for it. It's not a game I would super recommend or anything, but hey, here it is, and so I'm showing it off. The game has a total of 16 playable characters, 8 from the Sonic side and 8 from the Mario side, and each of these characters have their own different stats, going into power, into skill, into speed, and even into stamina and stuff like that. And they are all broken off into 4 different categories. In the all-around basic characters, we have Mario and Luigi from Mario, and Amy Rose and Blaze the Cat from Sonic. In the power department, we have Knuckles and Vector the Crocodile from Sonic, and Bowser and Wario from the Mario series. In the speed category, we have Sonic and Shadow from the Sonic series, and Yoshi and Daisy from the Mario series. And finally, in the skill department, we have Princess Peach and Waluigi, and in the Sonic department, we have Tails and, of course, Dr. Eggman. And let me tell you right now, the skill characters are indeed the best, and you would probably be best to play as Dr. Eggman. And because this game takes place on the Nintendo Wii, you can also play with your Mii Avatars that you can create in the main Wii menu. Basically, their stats are pretty basic. They're like an all-around character would be. There's no real customization, you know, it's just your Mii. Whatever the color their outfit will be is whatever the color you chose for their Mii outfit in the first place. And, you know, if you wanted to play as yourself, you can do that. It should also be noted that other Sonic characters do appear in the game, although they aren't playable. Cream the Rabbit, SBO the Chameleon, and Charmy Bee are all referees who end up showing up during the Hammer Throw event, and you can even see Cream in the middle during the fencing event. Big the Cat is also in the game, although I've only really seen him in one particular spot, and that's after you've won a gold medal in the track and field kind of arena. You can see Big the Cat in the distance in the doorway. He's just standing there. So again, being the Where's Waldo of the series, there he is! But, you know, he's not playable or anything. But like I said before, this game is basically a minigame collection celebrating the Beijing 2008 Olympics. And for the most part, I do have to applaud the presentation of the game, because I actually looked up videos of the Beijing 2008 Olympics, and it turns out all of the menus and all of, like, the on-screen, like, points showing things are actually very, very accurate to how it is in the actual show. And of course, this game came out before the Olympics. It came out in 2007. So, I do like that attention to detail. It really does make you feel like you were there, although you aren't, because there are Flickies and Chow and Toad people in the crowd cheering everyone on instead of real, proper human beings. It's kind of weird that Mario and Sonic meeting up, they're not meeting up in the Mushroom Kingdom, they're not meeting up in Sonic's universe, they're meeting up in the real world, which has Beijing in it. You know, it's kind of odd and kind of peculiar. I don't know how this crossover came to be. I really don't know where the idea of, hey, let's put them in the Olympics together came about. But hey, it's here now, so let's just enjoy it. The only thing I can really do is comment on the minigames of this game, and there aren't really all that many, and it will be the deciding factor of whether you want to play it, so I might as well. So first up, let's look at the track events. Basically, in order to run in the track events, you have to shake your Wiimote a lot. You have to motion mash, basically. And I do prefer that to the button mashy stuff that were in all the old Olympic games, because I've played Olympic games before this series, and I must say, constantly tapping A and B multiple times over and over till your thumb breaks off is really annoying. I would much rather move my arms flailing them about in order to win a race. So I do enjoy these games over the original Olympic games just for that. Now, of course, these track games are divided into different parts. There's the 100-meter dash, which is just a straight-up sprint to the goal, no problem. And then there are stuff like the 400-meter dash, where your character actually has their stamina bar come into play. Now, all of a sudden, they have a heart symbol next to their body, and you have to make sure that they don't get tired out, because if they get tired out, obviously they're going to stop running fast. And this is when characters like Sonic and Shadow all of a sudden become really hard to play, Like in the 100-meter dash, oh yeah, Sonic and Shadow are great. They're the speed-type characters, but they don't really have that much stamina, which doesn't make sense in context of the universe. Hell, a lot of shit doesn't make sense in context of the universe. If you're mad that Mario could outrun Sonic in a speed race, it's just a game, kids. You know, they gotta limit the characters somehow. Obviously, Sonic would win these races no problem, and Mario shouldn't have a chance at all keeping up with Sonic, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But as I was saying, speed characters have very low stamina. A character like Shadow has a really hard time going through the 400-meter dash because he just loses his breath almost instantly, and if you're shaking that Wiimote way too much, you're just going to be tired out the whole thing, and then everyone's going to run by you. But if you're playing as a power character like Bowser or Wario, all of a sudden the 400-meter dash is infinitely playable because they have so much breath to use. Wario is a beast in the 400-meter dash. He never gets tired, and by the end of it, he's just overlapped everyone by fucking miles. Wario, fastest guy in the 400-meter dash. You also have the events where you have to jump over the little platforms, and basically you're just timing the B button presses right before you get to them while shaking your Wiimote. So those are alright. And then you have the relay, where basically you choose 4 characters, and the one character passes a baton to the other, and you just keep running and running and running, and those are very basic. The track, again, it's just a motion mashing minigame. Pretty standard, pretty alright. We come to the high jump and the triple jump, and I've always disliked these minigames, if only because the motion sensor is very fickle, and it always feels like a crapshoot whenever I win. Basically, you have to jump just before the line, and a perfect jump will get you all the way. And if you overshoot, that's bad. If you undershoot, it's bad. However, I can never tell what the appropriate swing speed should be. Sometimes I swing it at one particular speed, and it feels like I made a perfect jump. Other times, it felt like I overshot or I undershot. I could never really get the hang of it. It always was a crapshoot whether I actually made the jump correctly. So, I don't like the luck aspect of that whole event. I would much rather enjoy skill-based minigames, so that one can be kind of it's okay, I guess, but meh. Hammer throw is pretty fun. You shake the Wiimote in circles, and you have to hold B the entire time while doing it, and then when the countdown goes away, you just want to throw it right in the middle, so that the hammer throw goes all the way far, doesn't run into the cage, doesn't go out of bounds, and of course the farther and faster you swung it in circles, the farther it will go, and the power characters tend to excel at this event. Javelin Throw. First you gain speed in order to increase the distance at which the javelin will be thrown, and then you have to do the very exact minigame that was used for the jump and the triple jump. So I don't really like it because it feels like I would have made a good shot if only I didn't overshoot that swing, even though I can't really judge how to do that. The high jump. I really like the high jump, I don't know why. First you have to run with the Wiimote to gain speed, and then when you get to the very end at the blue line, you have to jump at the very end in order to make the jump, and then just as you're getting up to the bar, you have to flick the Wiimote a little bit so that your back kind of curves, so that you definitely dodge it and stuff. And this game has the best theme song of all the mini-games, and you're going to be doing it a lot, so it is kind of exhausting. Well, not exhausting, but it will definitely give you your arms a workout. And that's kind of what you expect with these Olympic Games, right? You kind of expect to get a little bit sweaty and tired because, you know, it's Olympics. You expect that. I just love the idea of having characters like Dr. Eggman doing the high jump. You know, him and his fat belly just making that huge-ass jump, getting over the pole. And even a character like Bowser, who is a giant freaking turtle with a giant spiky shell. To see him do a high jump is just hilarious, and I just love watching that stuff. I don't know why, this minigame was always fun to me. Similarly, we have the pole vault, and the pole vault is pretty much identical to the high jump. The only difference is, when you get to the blue line, you have to shake the Wiimote even more so that you can bend the pole as you're rising up to the pole itself that you have to get over. So, both of these events have the same exact theme song, the same basic movements, and again, it's just fun to see a big fat character like Bowser or whoever attempting it, because it doesn't look like they should win, but if you're good at the game, hey, they're still gonna get the gold, and they're still gonna kick ass. So, you know, I love the pole vault, I love the high jump, those are fun events for me. The Trampoline Event is a fun button reflex minigame where basically you have to swing the Wiimote up every time you hit the trampoline, and then you have to push buttons that they show you in order really quickly before you make it to the bottom of the trampoline. And if you manage to hit all the buttons correctly without screwing up once, constantly making every move correctly, you can get a perfect 10 out of 10 score out of this thing. And it's really fun. It just tests your reflexes, it tests your hand-to-eye coordination, and I've always enjoyed the trampoline quite a bit. The vault. Basically, you get a running start, and then you vault off this vault, and you're expected to do tricks with both the Wiimote and the nunchuck. Oh, by the way, that's one thing about multiplayer with this game. When you're taking turns with friends, if you only have one nunchuck in the house, you're going to have to constantly pass that nunchuck along, because certain games like Archery and the Vault definitely require the nunchuck. So, you know, that's always kind of a buzzkill, but, you know, whatever. Anywho, you hit the vault, and then you do tricks in the air in order to get a good score. Sometimes it feels like you made a move and then the character didn't register correctly, but hey, that's vault. With Skeet, you can relive the good old days of Duck Hunt and aim the Wiimote at the TV screen in order to shoot some plates that get shot into the sky. And the basic gist is you have to make sure every shot counts, and you don't want to overshoot too much. You know, like if there are 4 bullets in your gun, there will be 4 plates in the single event. And if you miss a plate, you might as well make sure you have your second shot hits it, or just wait until the next plate shoots, because if you waste 4 shots trying to shoot 1 plate, then you've wasted those points and you definitely screw yourself over. This is probably the hardest minigame for some people because there is no difficulty select, and if you're trying to get a gold medal, you really do have to be pretty exact with your shots. You do have to make sure every shot counts, and that's not going to be fun for every player. Similarly, we have Archery, which it's not really about timing, and it's not about quick reflexes, but you are supposed to aim the Wiimote and the nunchuck in trajectory of the dartboard, and you're basically adjusting to where the wind is. Like if the wind is blowing left 2 meters, you might want to aim that cursor to the right of the center by what you think 2 meters of wind will push it to, you know? And that one's pretty fun. There's no real strict time limit, I don't feel. It's just very relaxing, very fun to manipulate the nunchuck and the Wiimote like it's an archery bow, so, you know, that works. And then there's the rowing minigame, and the rowing minigame basically shows you a button you have to press, and after pressing that button, you have to shake the Wiimote really fast after doing so, and it's basically just a timing thing. See a button, push it, shake. See a button, push it, shake. And if you push the wrong button, well, your character is going to screw up that motion, and then he'll be a little bit slower. So, of course, you know, good hand-to-eye coordination, good timing, just constantly making sure you push all the correct buttons, and that's how that works. The swimming minigame. Different from the track running minigame, you're not just motion mashing in a certain way. All of the characters actually have different swimming styles. Like Dr. Eggman, for example, will do the breaststroke, and what he has to do is move the Wiimote left and right, and it's not so much about going up and down like it was with the running. So depending on your character, you'll have different swimming animations, but also this will involve stamina, and basically every time you go a little bit of distance, the heart drains really quickly, and when it reaches almost near the bottom, you're supposed to push B in order to take a breath and gain that stamina back. So we are not only motion mashing, but also gaining stamina and then stopping, gaining stamina, motion mashing, stop, gaining stamina, motion mashing, stop, you know. And it's just a constant thing where you're just trying to be good timing, you know when to gain your breath, know when to stop moving and stuff like that. Either way, it's just a fairly fun game. This can be done with either 1 player or 4 players in one continuous giant swimming race. One little nice attention to detail that I really like. As we know, Sonic the Hedgehog as a character cannot swim. That's always been his characteristic. So when he goes into this event, he's wearing a life jacket, and his swimming ability is to flail his legs and arms about crazily like he's running in the water. And I think that's really fun. I just like the idea that they remembered Sonic can't swim, so if Sonic can't swim, he's just going to flail around. It's awesome. Then there's the fencing minigame, where 2 characters get into a sword fight. Basically, you're using the control pad in order to move your characters left and right, and you're thrusting the Wiimote forward in order to strike them with the sword. Another alternative, you can hold the A button and then thrust, and what will happen is a character will do a parry. So if a character is swinging at you and you do a parry, you can deflect that shot and give them stunned and leave them open for an open attack. And the first character to, I think, either 15 or whatever points, actually, you can change how many hits it takes for a character to be eliminated. But the first person to be hit 15 times loses, and that's how that goes. It's actually pretty fun. I like ducking and dodging out of characters' swings and stuff. And if you're a speed character, it's really effective, but even the skill characters have gigantic reach, which makes them fun to play as well. Table tennis. Hey, if you played Wii Sports, I think you already know what this is like. It's just tennis. When the ball comes up to you, swing the Wiimote. When it's not coming to you, don't swing the Wiimote. Don't be too early, don't be too late, just keep hitting it. Your character automatically moves to where the ball will be, so you never have to worry about placing your character anywhere. It's just constantly, timing. And finally, after unlocking a whole bunch of tournaments in the tournament mode and unlocking all the other mini-games, you do get a few dream events. And dream events are not as fantastical as they will be in the later Olympic Games. There are only 4 of them, and they're not really all that special. You have the Dream Track and Field, which is kind of fun because it sort of incorporates a whole bunch of Mario Kart elements where you have like rainbow boxes and like items to use, like shells to throw at people and Starmans to survive, any attack that anyone sends you and stuff like that. But and it's not really so much about motion mashing. I mean, there is motion controlling in there where you are throwing it to make your character faster, but you're also moving the pad left and right in order to move the character left and right, and pushing the B button in order to jump over certain obstacles that are in the way. And you're also trying to dodge egg pawns and stuff too. So those are that's a kind of interesting idea, but it's still not like, oh wow, this is an Olympic game in the Mario or Sonic universe. You have the Dream High Dive, where basically the characters jump out of a blimp, and then you're guiding your character down this giant pathway to the water, where you want to run into a whole bunch of rings so that you'll do a whole bunch of trampoline-esque button presses that will get your character a lot of points. And it's not so much about who gets to the bottom first, but rather who has the most points. Doing tricks through a ring gets you points. Hitting other characters gets you points. Running into blocks will lose you points and stuff like that. It's definitely a fun minigame, and it's definitely the best of the Dream events, but I guess it probably could be better, and it doesn't really represent a Mario or Sonic universe. I mean, yeah, there are egg ships in the air, there are mushrooms and stuff for you to collect, but is it really? I don't know. And then you have Dream Table Tennis, where basically they give your character a special move that allows you to hit the ball in a super fast, super hard, or teleporty way that makes it a little bit harder for the character to hit it with. And they've changed the rules so that it's not that if you get scored on, you lose a point. It's how many times the ball has been served will be the points the person gets. So the payoff is much bigger, and if you serve the ball for like a really long time, it gets to like 20 serves, and then that one person scores, they get 20 points, and that's how that works. And finally, we have Dream Fencing. The only difference between this and regular fencing is that, again, it's not about how many points you get, it's about draining the character's life bar, and you get a special move that will definitely drain that life bar after you built it up in your momentum meter. And that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all of the minigames in Mario and Sonic. And yeah, it's kind of underwhelming, honestly. You could play all of these really quickly, and not all of them are super fun. I wouldn't go back to the triple jump, I'm not a big fan of the rowing minigame. Outside of the minigames, the game does feature a tournament mode, which very much acts like a Mario Kart system would, in that it gives you 4 or 5 events that you have to play in a row. And the person who gets first gets the most points, the person who gets second gets the second most points, and basically you're just going through all these minigames until the very end it tallies up what the overall final score is. So you're encouraged to get first place, but you don't have to get first on every event, and the person who has the most points at the end definitely gets the trophy. And there are a lot of those trophy tournament things. They actually unlock minigames. Yes, some of these minigames are locked when you start the game off, which is blasphemy for a Wii party game. Every minigame should be available from the start. That is a rule of party games. I know there's unlocking and earning things, but this is a party game, and Mario and Sonic barely has that many party games in it. Don't lock that shit. It makes no sense. The game also has a challenge mode, where you basically pick a certain character, and they have like 5 or 6 challenges for you to do with. and some of them are kind of okay, some of them are really annoying. Like, a lot of them are stupid challenges where they have to make you get into second place in a particular event. Like for Dr. Eggman here, I have to play the rowing minigame, but I can't get first place. I have to make sure I'm in second place. If I get in third place, I lose, but if I get in second place, then challenge is completed. So I have to make sure my boat sort of stays in the somewhat middle, but not quite, and it's just kind of weird and awkward, and a lot of minigames are like that. I mean, the challenges are challenges, but some of them are just going to test your patience with the things they want you to do, you know? And finally, the game does offer a few mini-games as well as Olympic trivia, if you care about that. The mini-games are pretty basic. You got a whack-a-mole thing where you're trying to hit Goombas and bullet bills and watch out for bob-ombs. They have a Simon Says kind of thing where two characters or more, depending on the difficulty you're playing, will be doing a positive or negative reaction in a certain order, and you have to do all of those orders in the way they were shown to you. So A button makes the character say something positive, B button makes him say something negative, and if Luigi goes ha 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 and then Tails goes oh no, you have to push ha 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 on Luigi and then oh no on Tails, and it's just a memorization Simon Says kind of thing. You got this one minigame where two balls drop and you're trying to get them into their certain little baskets and like flip the Wiimote and bounce them all over the place. You got a card memorization thing where you're trying to set the cards the way they are presented on the screen, and yeah, these minigames are kind of, no, they're not great. They're just there, you know? But anywho, guys, at the end of the day, Mario and Sonic is just a minigame collection, and I do think out of all the Olympic games in the series right now, as of 2013, this is easily the weakest, and not every minigame is going to win you over. A lot of them are locked from the start. It just really doesn't have that staying power, you know? There aren't that many. You're going to be tired of this game really quickly. It's just a so-so minigame collection game for the Wii. Shocking. I mean, if you're a real die-hard fan of either Mario or Sonic, and you definitely feel like this would be fun to have in your collection, by all means, go ahead. I'm not saying this is an awful, awful game. It's just a pretty bland, mediocre one that I don't think everyone's going to get into. However, if you do want to see the novelty of Dr. Eggman performing a high jump and jumping over a pole, or pole vaulting, or swimming around, or any crazy wacky event you can think of with your favorite Sonic or Mario character, you know, it's probably worth checking out. But either way, I just think it's a mediocre collection. Kind of a disappointment that this is the first Mario and Sonic crossover when you feel like they probably could have done a lot more with the two franchises. But hey, I can't complain too much. This is Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. It's a minigame collection. Not much more to say. If you're following my Sonic playthroughs, the next one will be Sonic Rivals 2. But that won't be for a while. And yeah, it's been quite the minigame collection indeed. Maybe one day we'll actually have a proper Mario and Sonic crossover that is a proper platformer. But, you know, time will tell with that. But anywho, folks, this has been Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I am the Great Clement, and it has been fun. Toodles.